Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is my podcast, Up in the Clouds. We are welcoming in season 2 energy. Season 1 was like a lot of unloading and unpacking, and season 2 is just kind of how to navigate and, unpack that and what to kind of do with all that energy and, vibes and shadow work and stuff and where to go. So today's episode, I kind of want to talk about like energy vampires, as this book that I was reading likes to call it, and sort of how to navigate away from toxic relationships, maybe toxic friendships as well, just sort of red flags and how to recognize signs, and basically what to do when you have those relationships in your life and how to put up boundaries, if it's with people that you don't necessarily want to not have in your life anymore, but you just want more of a respect and more of a boundary with them. So I'm going to kind of talk about how you can do boundaries, and or if it's like with family members and you can't just like not have those people in your life. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to talk about. Before we get into the episode, I just wanted to thank you guys for being so patient. I went through a lot last week. As you kind of saw on my Instagram page, I did this workshop and it really hit home. It really hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I had a lot of breakthroughs. I basically realized a lot about myself, and I dug very, very deep into childhood wounds that I had that I didn't necessarily know were there, or like maybe I did know, but I guess I didn't realize how deep they were, and sort of went through a huge, like I said, huge breakthrough, like I feel like I transformed in those 5 days that I had, like in a crazy amount. Like I transformed in a crazy amount during those 5 days. Yeah, it was just insane. It was crazy. I felt so grateful to be a part of that and to find that workshop. She only does stuff like that like once or twice a year. So I just felt very lucky to be a part of that, and very, like I said, very, very grateful that I found that. So that was really, really exciting. So thank you guys for being so patient and letting me take some time off after that. I definitely needed to recoup myself and sort of take a week, for myself, and really just, I wanted to also like brainstorm where I wanted to go with this, sort of new goals I have for this and a new direction. And I just had all these ideas in my head and it were just very overwhelming. And I just needed some time for me, and that's important that you take that time for yourself when you feel like you need it. So thank you, and thank you for everybody who reached out to, to support me, and I just am very, very grateful for you guys. I'm a little warm. I have these like fuzzy pants on, and they are a lot warmer than I thought they were gonna be, so I'm a little warm. But yeah, so yes, thank you for everybody who was there and reached out. I really appreciate everybody and all your kind words and stuff. Life update, my fingernail is finally growing back, so that's amazing. Definitely quicker than I expected. It's like a quarter. We got a quarter of a fingernail now, and I forgot who told me, but somebody told me that it was going to be a lot thicker than all my other nails, and even just that little like tiny sliver is definitely thicker than the rest of my nails. So this is going to be a strong little nugget, so I'm really excited. What else? I'm trying to think of any other life updates. Temporarily dyed my hair purple for fun. Was feeling a little bored. I haven't had my hair done in a while, and I was like, just found some temporary dye and did purple for fun. So I was like, oh, I was like really excited to record an episode with purple hair. So here we are with purple hair. Other than that, yeah, those are kind of, I just took a lot of relaxing time. It's been very, very cold here. I had to go through a dead car I had like no car for a few days, and I had my amazing brother came and jumped my car for me, and it worked and everything. So I have a car again, and we've just learned our lesson about super cold weather and how to take care of our cars. I missed my baby, so I'm very glad to have her back and running again. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the episode. So I think I'm going to start with relationships. I feel like I feel very confident talking about this more. Like I'm still learning how to navigate like energy, vampires, narcissists, like when it comes to like friendships. But I feel like I've kind of mastered the relationship side. So obviously, as you guys know, I was in an abusive relationship in high school. It was my first relationship. And that sort of set the ground for me on relationships. You know, I negatively viewed relationships for a very long time after that. And I grew up loving love. Even though I grew up from like a broken family, I still always believed in love. I was just like I've always been a lover like my whole life. I've always loved love. Like I am very grateful that, you know, I had a negative view of love from my parents and I just didn't let it really affect me. I just sort of gave it as a motivation that I don't want that. And then obviously being in an abusive controlling, manipulative relationship, that was also very straining on my view of relationships. And when I was in a relationship, the first relationship, real, like, you know, you have like flings and stuff with people, but the first real relationship that I was in after my abusive one, I didn't even know how to be in a relationship because that person that I was in a relationship with, he was not controlling at all. He had no care, basically. I could do whatever, talk to whoever, and he never got jealous. He never worried about what I was doing or like anything. And I took that as he didn't care about me enough. Because I was so used to that control. I was so used to like that. I took what from like my abusive was like, I thought that was caring. I thought that was love. So then when I was in a relationship that was like a complete 180 than what I had, I didn't know what to do. I became the controlling and toxic one because I thought I thought he didn't care about me at all. I thought he didn't love me at all. When in reality, it was like, that was the farthest thing from the truth. And I ended up ruining that relationship because I was so controlling and I would like find problems and I just didn't feel like he loved me because he didn't care. That's what I like convinced. I was like, he doesn't care what I do or talk to. Like he doesn't love me. Like that's what I thought love was. So I had a very strained view of what caring about somebody meant. And like everything in life is a lesson. So I've learned to reflect and I forgave myself for ruining that relationship. And, for a very long time, I was very hard on myself and blamed myself. But everything in life is a lesson and we go through things and we have people in our lives for a reason. And sometimes it's not forever, it's just a season. Or for him, it was multiple seasons. But you know what I mean? Like, we weren't meant to be because if we were, we would have figured it out, and it just wasn't right, And so, yeah, I went having that 180, I didn't know what to do, how to be. And so that's when I realized that I didn't even know how to be in a real relationship that wasn't controlling and manipulative and toxic. And then over the summer, I was almost in a relationship with somebody. We had been talking on and off for a while. And then over the summer, we got really, really close to dating. And he started to portray controlling behaviors, getting very weird when I would go out, just very, concerned. Like, I couldn't go very long without responding to him, without him getting angry, or he would just get really defensive if I would be out with my friends and would just assume that I would be like looking for guys to hook up with. Because there's this one place that we really like to go that plays like EDM music, so we go there because of the music. Whereas when he went to school here, him and his friends would go there to like find girls to hook up with, and that sort of showed me he just didn't really know me as a person, because that was never my intention. I never go there with that intention. I've never gone to that place with that intention. I go there because I genuinely enjoy the music and I like to dance, and I just like listening to that music, especially when I'm drinking and stuff, and or just like hypes up my mood when I'm drinking. Like I don't like being at a bar where I hate the music because it just ruins my vibe, you know? So I like that upbeat, like, you know, fun, dancey music. And so do my friends that I go out with here, and he would just always like drag me down and just like ruin my whole night, because he would just be so negative about me going to that bar, thinking that I was trying to find men. And that's when I was like, I found myself making excuses, because a lot of my friends are like, why are you dealing with this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, he's being controlling and crazy, and he's allowed to do whatever he wants. And that was another thing I found very frustrating, was like I couldn't go very long without responding to him, but he could go hours and hours without responding to me, and if I got mad, I was crazy. And so that really, I found that very frustrating, because it was very double standard almost, and I wasn't allowed to accuse him of doing things, because then I was crazy, but then he was allowed to make me feel like shit. And it was just very toxic. And my sort of like last straw, where I had a realization that like the, you know, similar situations as my first abusive relationship, was when I posted something on Instagram. I was in like a tight bodysuit, and I guess his friends were giving him shit because like if you put your brightness all the way up and like zoomed in, you could like see my nipple, which I did not see it until he literally sent me a screenshot and like circled it, and then I was like, oh yeah, okay, there it is. But it was never my intention to post because my nipple was showing, and even if it was, like, who cares? Like, he used to comment on like his girl best friends pictures and like hype them up when they were wearing even less clothes than I would ever wear. And it was just very frustrating, because I felt attacked, and it was the first time I had felt pretty in so long, and it was really shitty. I had to spend like 2 hours, probably more, on the phone with him to convince him to not break up with me. And then a few days later, I was like, why am I dealing with this? Why am I groveling? Why am I going through this again? And that's when I had the realization that I wasn't healed from that first, like I wasn't fully healed from that like first relationship. So it's was still showing up in my life. I was still getting controlling toxic men into my life because I wasn't healed from that. So that's when I had that huge realization that, oh my God, I need to heal from this first relationship that I went through in high school. So I stopped this pattern. So I stopped this cycle of bringing in controlling people into my life, because I'm so I'm so picky when it takes me it takes a lot for me to like somebody beyond like being a friend. I don't just like sleep around. It takes a lot for me to like somebody. So it was very frustrated, because this is somebody I thought I was going to be with for like a very long time. I thought he was like my soulmate, because like life kept like bringing us back together, even though we were so far apart from each other. And I just thought that we were like weirdly meant to be in some way. And in reality, it was just another lesson. It was just another coming into my life so that it triggered healing. So then that's when we took a really long, deep healing after that, and was like, okay, I need to heal still from this first relationship that I experienced in high school, because I'm continuously to bring it into my life. It's still coming. So that's when I had that realization that I wasn't fully healed from that, and that I have to heal that to break the cycle. And yeah, so I guess like what I would say, red flags would be when they start telling you what you can and cannot do, or what you can and cannot wear, what you can and cannot post, who you can and cannot hang out with. Like, he would get very weird when I would hang out with some of my friends because there would be somebody there that I'd hooked up with in the past, when him and I weren't talking. And so he would get very like weird about it, even though like he was surrounded by girls constantly and literally had more girlfriends than I have guy friends. And I was like always expected to trust him, but he never gave that back. And that was just like unhealed trauma that he's dealt with from, you know, his past stuff that he needs to heal from as well. But like, I had to be the bearer of it. Like, I had to be the one dealing with it. So he would get mad at me every time I would hang out with like a certain group of people who became like my group, like during this past year of like people I would hang out with. Like, they became like my main friends. Like, one of my really good friends started dating somebody in that group, so like we were like always like at that house, and he would just get so get so angry at me, and it was a lot. Like, I found myself very triggered from it. I found myself very like almost like too reactive, where I was like, okay, why am I so reactive? Like, why am I just not, why am I getting so angry and so worked up? And it was from all that unreleased, unhealed, deep trauma from my first relationship that I haven't fully healed from, that I thought I was healed from, but clearly not, because life is still bringing in controlling people and almost manipulative in a way, because I had to deal with things that I dealt with in that first relationship that were so much and just made life not fun. And I truly believe that relationships should be an additive to your life. It should not make your life harder. It shouldn't make you miserable. And if it does, you definitely need to reevaluate, because the relationships with a significant other, friendships, they should be like additives to your life. They should bring you joy. They should bring you harmony and peace and love, and not stress and depression. It should not make you sad. It should not ruin things for you. Like, every time I would hang out with those people, like my friends, like I couldn't control if he was there or not, and I couldn't just not hang out with anybody anymore. That was kind of like what I would say to him, and I just felt so like emotionally drained all the time. And obviously, being somebody who picks up other people's energies, like his insecurities from that situation were like rubbing off on me, and I was very insecure and just dealing with a lot of things and emotionally all messed up, and it just was very, like I said, draining and toxic. And I don't like, the word toxic can be offensive, and I don't mean it to be offensive. I just mean that for me, it was toxic and just reminded me of a lot of past things that I didn't want to be reminded of anymore. And so we had, a deep realization. I was like, that's when I was like, when I was still talking to him was when I was like first getting into all of this and like meditating and stuff. And I basically got like a message from my angels that he wasn't the one for me, and that he was just sort of another lesson, and just sort of like that trigger to heal from that first relationship. So I would say like those top red flags, anytime anything gets controlling, I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to be like verbally or mentally or physically abusive, but being in a controlling relationship is, taking energy from your life and not bringing positivity into your life, and it's bringing negative emotions and negative feelings, which ultimately clouds you and surrounds you, and that brings down your vibration. And you want to be with somebody that higher your vibration, not lowers it. So yeah, we can like shift into friendships now. It's the same thing. You want to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who don't bring you down. So those like kind of flags you can look at in relationships, like with friendships and stuff, is, does this person lift my vibe up? Do I feel mentally, emotionally, physically drained after hanging out with somebody? That's like that reflection. Like, how do I feel after being with somebody? Do I wish I had more time with them? Do I have so much, like such a good time with them and they lift me up so much I wish I could be with them all the time? Or when I leave them, do I feel completely and mentally and physically drained to the point where I don't want to talk to anybody for days? And obviously going through this like spirituality thing, I took a deep look at a lot of my friendships and relationships, and I realized that I had a lot of draining people in my life that I was surrounded by a lot of people that I didn't feel like I could be my complete self around. Actually, I hadn't realized that before I went through my spiritual awakening. I started having that journey really, like, I feel like my realization for that was going through, like, meeting a bunch of people that were better to me than people I had known all throughout college. So I realized I had a lot of people in my life that I wasn't my true authentic self around, and meeting people that I could be my true authentic self around really kind of changed the game for me. It really showed me that it doesn't matter how long people are in your life for. It just matters their authenticity in your life. It matters how they treat you. It matters how you feel around them. And that's sort of where my spiritual like stuff really like began for me, was when I had that realization of friendship and the true value and who was a real friend and who was not. And then when I was like consciously going through my spiritual journey, I really just wasn't talking to a lot of people in general. I was only hanging out with like a few people, and I just really closed myself off. I just felt so, I was trying to find my place in this world. I was trying to find my place in my body. I felt so disconnected from reality, and it was a lot of emotions being brought up. I was doing a ton of shadow work. And I feel like a lot of people went through that when the pandemic first hit and everything was closed down, like solidly, like things were closed for like a few months in Wisconsin. And I feel like a lot of people went through a lot of things in that time, like maybe not necessarily had a spiritual awakening or a spiritual journey, but I know a lot of people who did have like some sort of awakening, some sort of journey with themselves. There were a lot of people that had to change their whole way of living, and I sort of had like a realization that you don't always have to be the life of the party. Like sometimes you can take the time for yourself and focus on yourself and heal yourself, and then the more healed you are, the more in tune you are with yourself and your body and your emotions, the more magnetic you are, the more that people want to be around you anyways. So you don't even have to like try to be that person that people want to be around. You are that person because that energy you give off. So yeah, I had a huge realization with like friendships and stuff. And then when I was unconsciously going through my awakening, and then when I was consciously going through it, really like cleaned it all out. Like I just don't even have the energy to allow people into my bubble. Like if I don't feel I can be myself around you, if I feel like I have to dim my light around you, like I can't be my 100% self, I just don't, I don't want to like bring that into my bubble. Like this is my bubble, and to some people who don't understand, who aren't, in that place with themselves and their lives, they take it offensively or think that maybe I'm a bitch. And that's not, like, I have all love. I have no problems. I have no issues with anybody on this planet. I love everybody and I send light to all. But I don't have the energy to, allow that into my space. And I don't have I feel too authentically in myself that I don't want to be fake. So if I don't feel like I can't be myself, I don't like associating with people I can't be myself around. I don't want to allow that into my space, in my bubble, because that's just going to bring my vibe down. Because when I'm downplaying who I really am, that like lowers my vibration. So I've just gotten really picky around the people I allow into my space, into my bubble, and it, like I said, it may come off as rude. And like I said, don't mean to be, but that's just something I've learned on this journey, especially being an empath and absorbing other people's energies. It's just very important for me to have boundaries that I've learned with myself, not just with other people, but having my own boundaries that I've learned how to put up these walls to protect myself and my energy. And it's just really super important to do that and learn that. And that's something that I've learned how to do over the past few months. And I'm just very grateful because I feel so high vibe, like only surrounding myself with people that bring me up. And that's the whole idea. Is that what you want? So yeah, I would say with friendships and relationships, like, how does this person make you feel? Do they bring you up, or do they bring you down? Do you feel like you are sad when they leave and you just wish you could have more time with them because they just bring you up so much? Or do you feel physically, mentally, emotionally drained after being with this person? Do you feel like you can't be yourself around people, like your partner, your friends? Do you feel like you have to dim your light? Do you feel like you can't share good things that are going on with your life because they don't want to know the good things? They just want to know all the bad things that are going on, or they just don't even want, maybe they don't. Like I definitely had a few friends I didn't even realize until I was like consciously aware of this, that literally did not care what was going on in my life at all. They just liked having me as a friend to listen to all the stuff going on in their life. And when I would try to talk about things going on in my life, they would either like interrupt me or just completely like zone out when I would be talking. And I just sort of started to learn to not share things anymore, because that really sucks when you're trying to talk about things that are going on and you just kind of get that feeling that that person's like not even listening. So I had a lot of that as well, like a realization that people were friends with me because of that empathy that I have. Like I had a lot of, like I was surrounded by a lot of narcissists, which is not surprising because in my how-to guide, like empath book that I read and have reread and marked pages and stuff, a lot of narcissists are drawn to empaths because of that capacity we have for love and emotion and empathy, and they just basically use us as doormats. It's so sad, but yeah, that's pretty much how it is. So it's just super important, even if you're not an empath, just as important as a person in general, and as somebody who, we are all vibrating human beings. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And to be constantly surrounding yourself with people that are draining your energy, lowering your vibration, or just, taking like dimming your light and not letting people, like being around people that you can't be your true authentic self around, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. It doesn't matter that they've been there with you through hell and back, or they've been in your life for so long you don't know how to live without them, so you just deal with their behavior. It's not worth it. Being alone is so much more worth it than being in that situation. I truly believe that. I do. I would rather be alone than have a ton of friends who aren't really my friends or just lower my vibration, and that's just being comfortable enough with myself. And maybe that's like, who you hang around is a reflection of yourself as well. So if you're hanging around with lower vibrational people, you're hanging around with people that dim your light, you're hanging around with people who drain you, maybe you have to look at yourself too. Like, you are putting yourself in that situation. So are you doing that because you don't feel worthy to have friends that lift you up, that higher your vibration, that, you know, can you higher your own vibration? Like, I have, once I get to that point where I'm so secure and in myself, then I can allow people into my space, and interact with people that, because I'll have those boundaries so high and I'll be so secure in myself that I don't even have to worry about people lowering my vibration. But as I'm still learning how to navigate that, I have to be very selective of who I allow into my space, into my energy, because I'm still learning and I'm still growing. And like, maybe that's something you have to look at, like an inner reflection of yourself, that maybe you have to heal like your own stuff before, and like spending time alone and meditation, and that can really, really help you. I learned so much about myself through meditation and doing these doing this is like my shadow work. But a lot of spiritualists say you can do shadow work through journaling. Journaling is really amazing. So you just kind of write out unload all of your stuff, just putting it somewhere. Maybe you could film yourself talking about things, but not post it anywhere too. But doing that inner shadow work and healing from you could have trauma stored in your body and in your subconscious. Like I said, I thought I was over my relationship. I thought I had healed from it until I realized that it was still coming into my life. I was still attracting, controlling people, manipulating people into my life. That's when I was like, oh, I'm not healed from this because it's still coming into my life. So doing that inner work, that, putting it out into the world to let it go, is the biggest thing that we can do to make our human experience as best as it can be. And it's very, very important to take that time to journal, to record yourself talking. You can even do a voice memo if you don't feel comfortable saying it in front of your camera. There's the voice memo app on your phone. Just record yourself talking about things you've been through. Maybe talk, vent about a friend that is, maybe after listening to this, you realize is very, is an energy vampire from your life. I like saying energy vampire instead of toxic, because I feel like toxic is a pretty harsh word. Obviously people have their own things which make them people have their own baggage and their own things as to why they are the way they are. And so it's not necessarily they're being toxic on purpose. They just have their own stuff to heal from. And as we keep that in our life, we keep bringing that in our life, where we become an energetic vampire friend. We become an energetic vampire boyfriend or girlfriend, because when we're not healing from those things, we are bringing those things into our friendships. We're bringing them into our relationships. I know so many girls, and maybe boys do it too, but specifically I know a few girls off the top of my head who just go from relationship to relationship to relationship, and they never heal from their past relationships. So they're bringing all this baggage and all this unhealed trauma from their past relationships into their new relationships. So then they are unintentionally ruining their new relationships with those people, and they're bringing that hurt and that pain that other people did to them into their new relationships, and making that person make up or feel bad for what they've been through, instead of healing from it and then just not even bringing it there at all. And I was doing that for a while with friendships as well, and I did that with boys as well too. And that's why it's so important to heal yourself first and take that inner look inside yourself and make sure that you're healed before you get into a new relationship. Heal your wounds, heal that pain, that sorrow, that trauma, that deep-rooted. And sometimes, like I said, through meditation, you can do it through journaling, through shadow work, all of that. So yeah, super, super little, tidbits. So yeah, overview, basically red flags in relationships. Try to stay away from controlling, manipulating people. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do, who you can't talk to. you know, unless there's reasons, you know, if you've cheated on somebody and they don't want you talking to that person, like that's completely different. You know, if you've never, like, you know, like what is crossing a line and what's not. Like you should be able to know red flags. Someone tells you what you can and cannot wear, cannot post, like maybe reevaluate, like, is this what I want? Like, do I want that? Like, it's, you know, and then same with friendships. If you like be with people who bring up your vibe, being with people that like love your light and let you shine and celebrate your wins. They don't make you feel bad for good things that are going on in your life, and that you can be your authentic self around, and who bring up your energy, who don't drain you. You just will learn as you get more and more into yourself and more into your like inner being and your inner self, and you heal those things and you stop attracting those people into your life. It's truly amazing like how different your life can be when you open yourself up to being alone and to being vulnerable with yourself. And obviously, like I said, I cut, like maybe not necessarily just like cut people out like I did it pretty drastically, but I just stopped talking to everybody and just saw who was still interested, like who came to me. I just like, it wasn't a test, it wasn't anything like that. I just was going through a lot and didn't have the energy to reach out to people and tell people what was going on. And just like, if they reached out to me and they asked me what was going on in my life, then I would tell them, but it wasn't like I was, you know, like that. So yeah, all super important to protect yourself, protect your energy. I do like a protection, obviously being an empath, I do like a protection prayer every morning, and then before I go to bed as well. Just like talking to God and the angels and like energies of highest good. I feel very connected to Archangel Michael, and he is the archangel of like protection and stuff. So like if I'm in a situation where I feel scared or feel like I need protection, I will ask him to like sort of put like a ring of light around me. And I just carry around selenite, which is a crystal that I showed. It's a beautiful, beautiful crystal, but I carry that around with me because it's a protection crystal as well. And it kind of protects, like I just imagine that it's like putting like a ring of light around me. And obviously your energy is you, and your energy is very important. So learning boundaries and learning to protect your own energy is super vital to our human experience. Yeah, I hope you guys like this episode. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Happy Valentine's Day weekend to all my lovers out there. I love love so much. So I am just basking in all the love that's around me all the time. Sending you guys all lovey, vibey, good vibes this weekend for Valentine's Day. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye. See you next week.